Hello and welcome to the Third Sector. I'm your host, Tamara Brinkman. In our society, there are three sectors: the public, the private, and the nonprofit, and it's that third sector that we're here to talk about today. Joining me today, we have Stephen Hayes Jr. from Hayes Arboretum, and later on the show, we'll have Elisa Worland and Jonathan Ferris from Purdue Extension. But first, joining me, we have Stephen Hayes. Stephen, welcome to the Third Sector.
Hey, thank you for having me.
Well, we're happy to have you here on the show. Take us through Hayes Arboretum. How long has it been in our community? What's the history of it to where it is today?
Sure. So the history, I'm part of the fourth generation. My great-grandfather, Stanley W. Hayes, moved to Richmond, Indiana from Geneva, New York. And he moved to Richmond because there were 5 railroads coming through Richmond, and he worked in the railroad safety device industry. The Arboretum was his private estate. He moved there in 1915 and began acquiring the land. He lived on property. And then in 1963, we opened to the public. Okay. So we've been serving the public for over 60 years, and we are free and open to the public throughout the year.
Wow, it's exciting that we have such a neat ginormous piece of land, and that it has been started private but has gone to being shared with the public. I mean, what a great gift to the community to have that here.
Yeah, it's an amazing gift, and we're always trying to find ways where we can further the mission, help strengthen people's connection to the natural world. Mm-hmm. And so we're always looking and listening for new ideas and new opportunities to connect with different groups, different people, all ages. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
What type of programs or things do you guys have? I mean, obviously you can just go to Hayes and take a walk, or drive over, take a bike, and utilize trails. So I know that's one of the big pieces, but tell us the other things that are there, other opportunities for folks to take in.
Yeah, so you're exactly right. Trails are number one. Okay. We've done surveys. We're always asking the public, listening for feedback. Access to the property and the trails, number one, to connect with people. And we have our Dawn to Dusk trailhead over by Fire Station number 3 at Woodside Drive and Hayes Arboretum Road. That's open 7 days a week throughout the year, dawn to dusk, very popular. It's also the trailhead for our mountain biking. Okay. So mountain biking's been a great way to connect with a user group. And those trails are also available for people to hike. Mm-hmm. They can bring their pet out as long as their dog's on a leash, and they clean up afterwards. That's right. Perfectly fine. We also have great school groups. We love connecting with our youngest people and then holding on to that connection throughout their lives. When I was little, I came to the programs out at the Arboretum through the summer programs. And I distinctly remember hugging a tree. I can go find that tree for you today and point it out to you. And so those great experiences continue to live on with the young ones throughout their lives as they grow up. And who knows, somebody who connects with us as a little one might come back throughout their life, but then they might get married out at our Woodland Chapel. Or they might come mountain biking, or come hike, or walk their dog, or you name it. But we hope to make lifelong connections with people.
It's funny you say the hug a tree and how that was such a memorable thing for you as a youngster. I used to travel with my grandparents in the summer, and there's one particular where we went to the redwood forest and we did that drive-through tree, and I have such a memory of just being inside this car in the just biggest tree I've ever been in my life. It's, this was a long time ago, so cars were pretty big.
It is amazing working with plants, trees, very humbling experience. They say, the best time to plant a tree was yesterday, second best time is today. So we need to plant trees early and often. And then also, when we plant a tree, we're doing it not really for ourselves, but we're doing it for our kids and our grandkids.
Right.
And so it is amazing. We have 60 acres of old growth, Indiana's old growth forest, and people love walking through the old growth and seeing that mix of mature trees, much as you would a forest a couple hundred years ago. So we're very fortunate to maintain forested areas, open areas, pond habitats. So yeah, people can come hike the property. We have 16 miles of trails, and they can see a wide array of diversity, right here in Wayne County.
Wow, I didn't realize that you had that many miles of trails out there. That's quite exciting.
Yeah, and I will say, in addition, we just recently mapped our trails with an intern that came out last year through Earlham College and helped us out through a partnership and created a digital map. So people can, download the digital map, or they can take a QR picture and they can have that experience and have a pinpoint location where they are on the property at all times.
Oh, wow. Isn't that neat? See, technology and nature collide.
Yes. We have a brand new audio tour for our driving tour. Some people might have limited time or might not be able to walk some of the topography we have on property. They can take a 3-mile driving tour throughout the property, and there's a brand new audio tour. So 10 stops throughout the property, kind of describes what you're seeing, and people can do that as well. So
neat.
Plant identification, we have over 55 trees on our tree map. They can, if they're interested in planting new trees on their property and they want to see what it'll look like someday, they can come out to the Arboretum and kind of, take a look at those mature trees.
Well, that's quite something. Tell us about how you see the Arboretum impacting the community.
Yeah, I think one of the biggest wins has been a host site for different programs or organizations, especially not-for-profits that want to come out and utilize the property. So just recently, we've started some in-kind partnerships, so no cash has to be exchanged between organizations. I always think it's tough to try to, we're a not-for-profit ourselves, we're a 501c3, and to charge another not-for-profit to use the locations sometimes is a barrier or a hurdle, and we want to see how we can overcome that. So we try to look for in-kind opportunities between other organizations, being a host site, or sometimes charging a small fee to our field trips or other programs. But really, anytime we can get people out to the property, experience nature, strengthen that connection, we're helping fulfill our mission.
Right. Do you know what the sort of furthest distance away or maybe foreign country you've had visit the Arboretum? I mean,
Yes, and that is, we being kind of the here in Indiana at the crossroads of America, get a lot of different travelers coming through, and we are thrilled to be a destination for people. We are consistently seen as a top 5 destination for people around Wayne County that are visiting here. And we are very fortunate to have kind of the great partners that we do around town, where people stop by and they visit another organization and they hear, hey, have you stopped by Hayes Arboretum yet? And so, there's no limit to it. We get visitors from around the globe. And we saw that during the eclipse not too long ago.
Oh, okay.
We have a little map, we had a map with pinpoints, but then we also had little suns that people would sign and post up in our nature center.
Oh,
and
fun.
So, we have visitors from across the globe. It was really amazing.
Something. That's exciting. You sometimes think, we're so small that it's hard to imagine that, folks are find their way to this small little area, or the community.
Yes. And environmental stewardship and appreciation of our natural world is everywhere, even though the plants might be a little bit different based on hardiness zones. But yeah, it's fantastic to get visitors in, to share their experience, to share what's going on in their part of the world or their part of Wayne County with us. And I think one of the biggest wins is when people see something that they like out at the Arboretum, like our butterfly garden or our pollinator fields, our prairie restoration, our timber stand improvement. They see something that they really like and they want to have that on their property, and they look at us as a resource, and we can work with them, or we can help connect them with other partner organizations or agencies that might also be able to help.
Right.
Yeah, it's an awesome opportunity when you have people say, hey, we see what's out here, we like it so much, we want to recreate some of that on our property. So
obviously you guys are large and vast, as you've been telling us about, and you're fourth generation, but I suspect you can't do all of this alone. So tell us what kind of staff or you have in terms of what's the structure of Hayes Arboretum?
Very small staff. So right now we have 3 full-times, 4 part-times, but we also have lots of volunteers. We have 2 boards. So I have a Family Foundation board that supports the Arboretum through funding, through an endowment. We also have a community outreach board, kind of local eyes and ears around the community, and they are very engaged, both groups. The outreach board meets monthly, and then we have subcommittees, working subcommittees that meet in addition to that board meeting monthly. And then we're always looking for ways to connect with people who are interested, to get their feedback, to see how they'd like to volunteer. People can go to our website and download a volunteer application form, and it's got all kinds of different ways that they can help the Arboretum. We have hundreds of hours of volunteer work each month that are given to the Arboretum through really dedicated volunteers, and they connect in all kinds of different ways.
Wow.
Some schools actually require a little bit of community service. Sometimes we can connect with students through internships, and sometimes we're connecting with people who just have time or talent to give.
Right.
So it is amazing. And many hands make light work, and we're no exception.
Right. Well, that's wonderful. We have been putting up on the screen while we've been talking I think your website and some of the other information. So if people are interested in learning more, they can go to your website, get that form, or just check it out in general. We have just a little bit of time left, probably about a minute and a half or so. Tell me what brings you the most joy about what you do.
It's probably seeing that our mission is growing, and that the next generation, I have a 4-year-old, I get to see the little ones out with the school groups. Our playscape is very active and vibrant and busy. Is to see the next generation embracing the mission, having fun, and seeing things grow.
Yeah.
That seems to be the most rewarding.
Well, great. Well, thank you so much for being a guest on the show. That'll end our time today. It goes quickly. When we come back, we have Purdue Extension. Stay with us. Welcome back. Joining me now, I have Elisa, Worland, and Jonathan Ferris from Purdue Extension, and they both have really long titles behind their names, so I'm going to let each of them respectively say what it is that you guys do within Purdue Extension.
Go ahead, Elisa.
Okay. I'm Elisa Worland, and I'm the Community Development and Health and Human Sciences Educator with our office.
And I'm Jonathan Ferris, and I am the Ag and Natural Resources Educator.
There we go. See? Lots of things in the name, so thank you for that. Let's talk about how long have we had, Purdue's been in the state of Indiana as a university, obviously, for a very, very long time, and I'll let you get into that. But how did Purdue Extension come to Wayne County? Like, how did it land here? What was the reason that this was a designated location? And how, what brought that here?
That's a great question, and I love talking about that.
Oh,
because
good.
When I was in college, I almost switched from biology to history, because I love history. But it actually goes back to 1862. there was a senator from Vermont named, with his last name was Morrill, Morrill, Justin Morrill.
Okay.
And he got a bill passed to establish the land grant college system. So sometimes people don't understand that there is this land grant system where it was a novel idea at the time. It's still kind of unique around the world, but that these universities would be created in every state that would teach agricultural and mechanical arts. That was the original focus. And if you think about what was going on in the 1860s, there was this little thing called the Civil War going on, and they still got this bill passed. So it was kind of amazing that it even took place and got done during the Civil War. But that formed the land grant system.
Okay.
In 1869 then, John Purdue donated $150,000. The citizens of Tippecanoe County donated another $50,000, and that started Purdue University. The residents also donated about 100 acres of land that got the university started. So it started out very, very small. It was very focused on agriculture, mechanical arts, those type of things.
Okay.
The Extension Service, the Cooperative Extension Service, actually came later in 1914. So it was with the passage of the Smith-Lever Act. And the Smith-Lever Act established this idea that, we have these universities now, they're doing a lot of good research, but how do we get that research into the hands of the people that need it? And so this idea of a cooperative extension service, and it's called cooperative because we work closely with federal, USDA, state, and local government. So we're funded by this three-legged stool. So we're a cooperative extension service. And literally, as the name implies, we extend that knowledge and research base from the universities to everybody.
Right.
And and if you think about what was going in early 1900, that wasn't the norm around the world as far like Europe and what they were doing with their higher education. It was more for the upper class people. Not everybody got to go to college.
Right.
And so this idea that we want to teach agriculture also has put us at the forefront of food production and fiber production around the world. It's a very unique system that we have here in the United States.
Well, I sure just learned a whole lot about that. I can tell you I was one of those people that didn't know anything about that cooperative land grant, so I just got a great history lesson. That's quite amazing.
Yeah.
And we're in all 92 counties in Indiana, so there's a local office in each county. They may not have all of the educators represented per se, but that there's at least one person in each of those offices. And then there are different pieces that came out of that as well. So we had your ag and natural resources educator that worked primarily with farmers. They also realized that women need information. So there was a family and consumer science educator that would work with the Indiana Extension homemakers. And then we have the focus on youth with 4-H. So there are kind of these different wings that came out of that.
Yeah, and extension in Wayne County, back to your question, really started with what they used to call the Boys Corn Club. And those corn clubs were started actually a little bit before the Cooperative Extension Service was formed.
Okay.
But so people could argue it was 1913 or 1914 that Extension had its first presence in Wayne County, but that first presence was what turned into the 4-H program.
Mm-hmm. Wow, I mean that's just an interesting story. I mean, a corn club, who would think? But I mean, you grow a lot of corn in Indiana, so I guess why not? All right, well, tell us a little bit more about the programs that you guys have in each of your areas.
Okay, so I guess I'll start for whatever sake. But so my area is agriculture and natural resources. As Elisa said, we're in all 92 counties, and so most counties have at least one ag and natural resources educator. Some of the bigger counties, for example, Allen County or Marion County, may have multiple educators. Some that focus on like consumer horticulture, or some that focus on urban agriculture, but everybody has at least one. My background is a little bit different than some of my peers. I have more of the natural resources background than I do true agriculture. I was raised on a farm here in Wayne County, so I have that background, but my educational training was in natural resources. So I do a lot of work with pond owners, with woodland owners. A lot of what I do is consumer horticulture. I don't get quite as many phone calls from commercial agriculture producers because they have a seed rep and a fertilizer rep and people that they work with for that. I do work with them for like their pesticide license. That's one of the things that is a major focus of Purdue Extension is people don't realize that farmers that apply pesticides to their acres have to be licensed. And so to keep up that license, they have to get credits toward their pesticide license. And Purdue Extension is the entity in Indiana that offers those trainings. And so they have to get 3 credits in the 5-year span of their license. And so we offer usually several what we call PARP, or Private Applicator Recertification programs, every year for farmers. But like I said, a lot of what I deal with, especially spring through fall, is consumer horticulture.
Okay.
So example was, I went out the other day, a lady called and had a tree that was dying and wanted to know, A, was it really dying? B, should she take it down? Can she treat it? Lots of questions.
Right.
So I was able to make a house call. We still make house calls. And go to her property and visit with her and her husband. And talk to her about her tree, and then of course that led to, while you're here, come look at my vegetable garden and look at my pumpkins. What's going on with these pumpkins? And so do a lot of that sort of thing.
I had no idea. I'm going to have to get your number on speed dial.
Yeah. So if you find an insect in your home you want it identified, you find a weed in your garden or your lawn you want it identified, you bring it to us and we figure out what it is and how you can get rid of it.
People literally come in with Ziploc bags with like
Isn't that something?
stuff in it to
Boy,
drop off at our office and consult Jonathan about it.
How
So
exciting.
I've had people bring in snakes before, wanting to identify the snake.
Okay.
Usually the snake's dead when they bring it in. So yeah, everything from that to bed bugs and just the whole gamut of trying to identify
the cute
things.
to the creepy crawly.
Yeah, so that's part of what I do. We have a Master Gardener program that's starting up tonight, as a matter of fact. That's a 14-week class. And that's the purpose of that program, is to train a pool of volunteers that then go into the community and do horticulture programming.
Oh, okay.
So we had a class last year that graduated 13 students, and they put in, as of August 1st, they've put in almost 500 hours in the community.
That's great.
Doing horticultural trainings.
That's wonderful. Elisa, tell us about your area.
yeah, so I wear 2 hats in Extension. I'm both community development, health and human sciences educator, and the health and human sciences side is what came out of family consumer science originally. So with time, Purdue has recognized that there's more need for kind of a public health approach. So we still do things like teaching classes on canning in the community, or I can test pressure canner gauges in our office for like $5. So if you're trying to can and you want to make sure it's calibrated properly, that's a service I can offer. But we also have a lot of space to work with like health coalitions, to work on issues around substance use or mental health. So mental health first aid is a big workshop that we offer a lot. I teach Question, Persuade, Refer, which is a suicide prevention workshop that's 90 minutes that I can offer for free locally. And then on the community development side, that's like the newest sector within Purdue. And there's fewer of us in the state, so we tend to work a little bit more regionally, but we teach workshops on facilitation, grant writing, workforce development, placemaking. So there's a variety within that as well. And some folks within our sector also do some consultation around starting businesses and those sorts of things.
Okay.
So. Yeah, so a lot of different pieces within there. So I could be teaching Serve Safe to restaurants so they can get their certification one day, and I might be teaching grant writing the following one. It really depends on the week.
Wow. Well, I guess it keeps it interesting.
It does, yes. And I get to meet a lot of different people wearing those 2 hats as well and around the community, and look for opportunities to bridge some of those gaps as well, because sometimes there's different sectors that aren't talking to each other that maybe we'd like to see that happening. So like I host a law enforcement and social services collaboration meeting, and that's been a great chance for law enforcement and social services to look at like where are those spaces where we've got some like common issues that we can come together and work on because they don't always find each other in the same space.
Oh, isn't that interesting? Yeah. Well, that collaboration is really key. It's great to see when those opportunities come together because, like you said, sometimes they miss each other, and yet that connectivity puts so much synergy on certain situations, and so it's good to see that that's able to be done. We only have just a few minutes left. Our time goes always so quickly. I want to give each of you the opportunity to tell me what brings you the most joy about what you do, and you can pick who goes first.
Go ahead. Put you on the spot.
Jeez.
He's like, I went first the last time, but now this time.
I mean, I guess one thing that recently has brought me joy is we got to offer a facilitative leadership workshop here recently, and that's a 3-day intensive on facilitation skills. And it was the first time that we've offered it in Wayne County, and about like probably a little over a third of the class was folks that are from this area. And I was talking with one of our participants and just finding out that they'd been kind of like noticing these different techniques that I bring to meetings to facilitate. And they're like, I'm connecting the dots now of seeing how like these things we're learning here, things that you were doing there, and how I can put those into practice. So it's kind of cool to see that like not only what I'm doing, people are like remembering that and be like, oh, that's kind of unique, like, but not knowing how to put that into practice and then giving them the skills to like do that themselves and really build up like our coalitions working on health issues around here.
That's pretty rewarding.
Yeah.
Yeah, real time to get to see something like that. That's pretty neat.
Okay.
Then your turn.
So I had about 30 seconds to think about it.
You had 30 seconds and you have just under a minute to tell us about it.
Okay, so real quickly, I think for me it sounds simple, but just helping people, solving problems for them, and also connecting them with Purdue University. We bring out campus specialists all the time, and Lisa in the ag side of things. I know Elisa does too, and connecting them, because when you contact Purdue Extension in Wayne County, you're not just contacting our staff. We're networking in with Purdue campus administration and extension specialists, and so we can bring all those resources to bear on local problems.
Right. Well, that's great. I mean, we are very fortunate that you guys are in the community and all that you do and the opportunities you provide. So thank you very much for that. And thanks for coming on and telling us all about it on the Third Sector today.
You bet.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, it was great to have you guys. That'll take us to today's episode. Thanks to all my guests for joining me. We hope to see you next time on the Third Sector. Stay well.